Why? Thank you, Ralph. This is what you're here for. And Ralph will remind me to stop it when the time comes. Thanks. As I mentioned, I'd like to do a meditation focusing on fulfillment and gratitude that is related to Sukkot. I'd like to start with there's a book by Arthur Waskow called Seasons of Our Joy about the holidays, which I picked up the other day. And he explains that Sukkot is the fulfillment of both the solar and the lunar cycle. As Passover celebrates the rebirth of the earth each year, Sukkot celebrates its fullness as the harvest ripens and is gathered in. The glory of the earth fulfilled. In our historical narrative, Pesach represents liberation, Shavuot, the moment of transcendent contact with God, and Sukkot reminds us of the fulfillment of that work, the time in the desert under God's close protection. Turning to the lunar cycle, this month, the moment of the rebirth of the new moon, that is Rosh Hashanah, followed by the swelling of the moon during the moment of intense contact and reconciliation with God at Yom Kippur, ends with a full moon of Sukkot and the gathering of the benefits that flow from repentance and forgiveness. Just as we ourselves grow from our first spiritual awakening, the possibility of freedom into the passionate, awe-filled reality of contact with God, so we are now rewarded in our spiritual lives with the ingathering of spiritual riches. So I came across this passage the other day as I began to plan for today's meditation. I had returned a few hours earlier from my summer away, which had culminated in assisting my wife, Nancy, with a family crisis, the hospitalization and then death of her mother. Iris's hospitalization occurred as her parents, both in their mid-90s, were in the process of making a transition to an assisted living facility. Their attempt to stay in Nancy's childhood home finally had become untenable. Nancy's family has its share of unresolved interpersonal issues and other quirks that made a very sad and difficult situation even more so. We returned to Bethesda Sunday night after a traffic jam-filled drive, totally drained. You can imagine my relief when I turned to the task of preparing for this and realized that it was Sukkot. Sukkot had started, and the tradition was indicating that I might turn from focusing on the recent struggles to gratitude for the fulfillment life brings. There were satisfactions to be gleaned from this sad event. Nancy spent much time with her mother in her last days and felt a closeness that had eluded her in recent years. She and her sister worked surprisingly well together, making difficult decisions and working on complicated tasks. And finally, her father was settled into a new living situation that he liked, even if his behavior during this period had been less than admirable. And so the transition from the heaviness of Yom Kippur, which had really been the context of my mother-in-law's dying and burial, and had added an additional level of sort of seriousness to it, certainly in my mind, was replaced by focusing on the good things that remain, the things that we learned and about each other, and relationships that were strengthened, in a way that might have happened eventually, but certainly were intensely triggered by that reading and thinking about Sukkot. So today I'd like to do a meditation that's focused on gratitude. And the meditation is from Nan Fink's Discovering Jewish Meditation. And but first I'm gonna read two short poems for Sukkot that were written by Rabbi Rachel Barenblatt, who you may also know as the Velveteen Rabbi. And they're slightly different takes. The first is about feeling gratitude after difficult times, which is what I was just talking about. And the second is a more unambiguous celebration of gratitude. And I was trying to pick one or the other of them, and I just couldn't decide. And so I decided to read them both because they're short and I like them both. So, and they don't have names, actually. They were part of a series of Hallel prayers that she wrote. And the Hallel prayers are for different holidays, and these are from the series that were for Sukkot. So here's the first one. When we pushed through the narrow place, when we left what had become constriction, we came into our own, we became our own. Only then could we give ourselves to you. When we left the household that didn't nurture, when we left old stories that no longer sustained, the ground shifted beneath our feet. The hills leapt like baby goats. The river we thought flowed always toward the sea turned tidal and became sharp and salt. Mountains, did you savor letting loose? River, did you rejoice in changing your course? We too have been transformed. By the presence of time, whose name is change. And here's the second short poem. Friends, be profligate with blessings. Spend them freely. Prime the pump for more. Children, bless us with wonder at the calliope song of geese overhead. Elders, bless us with permission. The skies belong to God, always perfect and always changing. The earth is ours to tend. We can offer praises right here, right now. What are we waiting for? Okay, so let's settle more. And this meditation, in which you can follow the meditation prompt if you'd like, or do something different if that's your preference. But this is, the meditation is on the words Moda Ani. It's mostly women here, so we'll use Moda Ani. And what Nan Fink says about this is, often we don't notice the blessings in our lives. Our attention goes to those things that are missing rather than those that are present. The feeling of desire keeps us unsettled and preoccupied and leads us to search frantically for more love, more honor, more material possessions. In this meditation, we focus entirely on what we receive. When we become aware of what already exists in our lives, we discover that the list is longer than we realize, even if we haven't found the partner of our dreams, or we're feeling ill, or we've suffered a great loss. There are always blessings. The kind look of a stranger in the store yesterday, or the whiteness of the clouds overhead today can be a good beginning. So, several full breaths, releasing a sound with the exhaltation. Now you can begin to breathe normally and just observe your breath. Now, focus on the words Modeh Ani, Moda Ani, Moda Ani, or on the words I am thankful, if you prefer. Silently say the words over and over. Hear them in your mind's ear. Feel them resonate within you. Invite the images of gratitude to appear. The people, the experiences, the opportunities, the minutes, the nanoseconds. Name them, dwell on them. Moda Ani, Moda Ani. When your mind wanders, bring it back to thankfulness. When you're distracted, return to the focus. So you can begin to bring your attention back to the room slowly. I'm going to read one more poem. This is a poem called Let Joy by Alden Solovey. Let joy spread across your face, flash from your eyes, beam from your lips. Let joy quiet your heart, soothe your lungs, relieve your chest. Let joy flow through your bones, awaken your nerves, caress your flesh. For joy is in the dawn and the dusk, the silence and the great expanse, the flow of light from God's grace, divine wonder and awe, calling out to you, dear sisters and brothers, awake, you slumberers, awake you who sleepwalk through hours and days, blind to hope and love. Have you forgotten Sarah's laugh and Miriam's song? Have you forsaken Jacob's dreams and Ezekiel's visions? Have you succumbed to fear and shame? This then is God's command. Let joy hold you, carry you, burst forth from your words and deeds. Let joy take you from season to season. Dance and sing, celebrate and rejoice, lifting your life with exaltation. Let joy be your light and your lamp. Blessed are you, God of joy.